Flat Earth. We all know it. We all love it. But if we rank it piece by piece, where's it going to fall on a list of every other major conspiracy theory? I'm John, and I'm here to rank conspiracy theories. And the first one we're starting with today, on the very first ranking video on this channel, is classic Flat Earth. So, just for a disclaimer, I do not believe in the Flat Earth. I believe the Earth is a globe, a sphere. Technically, it's a little bulged. It's a little bulged. I do not believe in the flat Earth. It's a globe. It's not flat. But that's just me. Let's talk about the history of the flat Earth before anything else. Before about 500 BCE, nobody really cared whether the Earth was flat or round. They might have asked some questions. Who really cares, right? But they did know that the moon was round. And so Pythagoras, the same guy with the theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, he reasoned that if the moon is round, the Earth should be round too. And so people were like, yeah, that makes sense. They just kind of rode with it. Later on, a couple hundred years, you had Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes. You had Eratosthenes, who calculated the diameter of the Earth. And then there was more proof, more ideas. It was a theoretical diameter, but they're like, yeah, the Earth's round. The Greeks knew it. This belief was held for about 1,000 years, until the Dark Ages, or the early Middle Ages, whatever you want to call them. But when Catholicism started to rise up, you had more people reading the Bible, paying attention to what was said in the Bible, and they sort of had these ideas where it talks about a firmament, and it talks about corners of the earth, and there's a whole lot of words that describe what might be a flat, square earth, almost. And so that's where some of these ideas are, of kind of a square earth. It later becomes round and flat, a disk. We'll get to that in a second. Generally, from the 5th, 10th century-ish era, that's like 500 years, I know it's a long time, but from about there until the Age of Discovery in the 15th century, Christopher Columbus type era. Until about the 15th century, people generally believed the Earth could be flat. Most of your common people were kind of like, sure, Earth's flat, why not, right? They're medieval peasants. They don't really care. They don't live long enough to care. The Age of Discovery, however, in the 1400s, the 15th century, right? Yeah. People rediscovered, again, that the Earth was round, and it was a commonly held belief again. Now, between like the Dark Ages and the Age of Discovery, people still kind of knew the Earth was round, those that had the time and money and not instant death to be able to research stuff and learn things and learn how to read. They knew the Earth was round, but your average peasant didn't really know, didn't really care. And so for about 400 years, we had a good time where everybody was like, yeah, Earth's round, heck yeah. And still to this day, most people think the Earth is round. But here, in the 19th century, 1865, this guy named Samuel Rowbotham wrote a book called Zetetic Astronomy. Now, zetetic here specifically refers to kind of ignoring the scientific method and determining things and learning about phenomena through observation. And so that kind of might sound familiar in modern flat Earth beliefs where you look out, Earth looks flat to me. Basically what zetetic means. And so this guy, Samuel Rowbotham, he wrote this book, Zetetic Astronomy. And it sort of brought back the idea of the flat Earth. Nothing really happened with that until his death, and after that, people who read his book established the Flat Earth Society. Now, the Flat Earth Society used the beliefs that were established by Samuel Rowbotham in his book, and those are pretty similar to the modern beliefs, that the Earth is a flat disk with an ice wall around the edge and an icy pole in the middle. And then you have the sun, moon, planets, stars, just floating a little bit above where the disk sits. Nothing much happened for another 50, 60 years with it, till this other guy in England named Samuel Shenton. He kind of brought back the Flat Earth Society in the 50s, created the International Flat Earth Society, which isn't super different, and became the Flat Earth Society eventually. At its peak, the International Flat Earth Society had a membership of more than 3,000, which isn't a ton, but for an official thing, it's not bad. That's not bad. In 1995, like 40 years after its establishment, there was a fire, completely crippled the whole thing, super tragic, and for 10 years nothing happened with them. 2004 relaunched, 2009 opened its doors, and it became, after it opened its doors and relaunched, it became the FES, Flat Earth Society. Most modern people don't super follow the Flat Earth Society, and by people I do mean flat earthers. Most people who believe in the flat earth don't super follow the Flat Earth Society. Most of them are just people, just guys, dudes, people hanging out. Additionally, in the modern flat earth belief, it gets tied in a lot with the government's lying to us, or science is fake, and so like vaccines are fake, and a whole bunch of other stuff that just gets lopped in. It gets lopped in. Flat Earth nowadays kind of acts as almost a gateway theory, where once you believe in flat Earth, you're questioning the shape of the Earth. What else are you going to question? You're going to question science, you're going to question the government, you're going to question everything else in your life of people that might have lied to you. And so most modern flat earthers will have a belief, and a lot of conspiracy theorists, it's very much a gateway theory in that way. But next, we need to cover the ranking. And so for that, I need to pull up the sheet. All right, and here we have our ranking. So first thing, we're going to cover the believability, and I gave this an 8 out of 10. And remember, this score is how believable the theory itself is without taking in any of the evidence that either proves or disproves it. Basically like an eyeball test, right? Like, how much can I believe this theory just looking at it? And for this, I gave it an 8, which I think is a pretty valid score. I don't think I should have to defend them super much, but I will. If you think about it, you look outside, oh, the Earth seems pretty flat to me. Makes sense, right? And again, like I said before, this is sort of a gateway theory. If you already don't trust the government, it's going to be a lot easier to believe that they're lying to you about the shape of the Earth. And so it's kind of where this earned an 8. Got itself 200 points. For evidence, I gave it a 1, which should be self-explanatory. Almost any time you see a flat earther trying to have any kind of evidence, it's either rejection of current ideas, like modern theories, or it's them proving themselves wrong. So they get a 1. They don't have any proof. For the community, I genuinely give it I give it 10 out of 10. I think they're great people. Now this is biased, definitely, because for a community, my metric, I don't know a lot of flat earthers in person, obviously, and I reached out to the Flat Earth Society, but they never got back to me. Maybe I should knock off a point for that. But the community genuinely seems like all well-meaning people. Now to clarify, I got this information on Community and Consequence. I'm using the 2018 documentary Behind the Curve as my reference here. Super awesome documentary. It's a little bit satire-y, where there's some irony in it, the camera work, some of it is a little funny. There's a scene where someone is sitting in like a simulator. One of the main guys is sitting in a simulator, flat earther, sitting in a simulator. And he's like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do it. And there's a button to do it right next to him that he doesn't see. He's trying to press the touchscreen. It's a little funny. But genuinely, I think most people in the community are well-meaning. They don't have any harmful intent. I think they're super genuine people that just want community. I think they've kind of been pushed down their entire lives. They've got some trauma coming in beforehand, and this is sort of an escape for them. And you know what? Who am I to harsh how people are escaping from reality, especially at times like these, right? So I gave it a 10 out of 10. Got it 200 points. Consequence, I gave out a 4 out of 10. So, my explanation here. Consequence is sort of what damage the theory's existence has done, and I'm kind of measuring this on, well, not kind of, I'm measuring this on what has happened to people who believe in the theory and how it has affected their lives. Because there's not much other way to take it apart from that. Most people see flat Earth and they laugh at it, or you believe it, right? But the people who do believe in it end up leaving their families. They get divorced. Parents shut them out. Stuff like this. That's super tragic. And people just get swept up in this belief that makes them feel so important that they lose their family and people that matter to them. And it's really tragic. That's why I gave it a 4. I think it's pretty bad. 1 would be worse. I don't think it's quite bad enough to be a 1, but I gave it a 4. I think there's definitely more damage that could be done. It's not good. If true, so remember here, if true is the consequence of this theory being true. So, like, how much would it change our worldview, our situation, everything like that? 1 is not a lot's going to change, or it's going to have bad change. 10 is kind of good change or huge major change. So here I would say the Earth being flat is kind of a huge change, especially because of how much it's tied in with a lot of government theories. Theories on the government. Gave it a 9, shakes up everything we know about physics is wrong. Everything we know about our own governments is wrong. Everything we know about the stars are wrong. Completely throws out the field of astronomy. A bunch of crazy stuff just happens if we find out, in fact, the Earth is flat. And last, I have comedy. I think this theory is really funny. I think it's really funny to imagine the Earth is flat. So they get an 8 out of 10. I think it could be funnier, just because it gets a little stale after a while. You know, oh, flat Earth, whatever. Kind of a dead horse. But it's very funny, especially when you look at documentaries and people constantly proving themselves wrong. It gets very funny. But their final score here, they ended up with a 715, which is not a bad score at all. And that will put Flat Earth at number 1 here with 715. It's not a pretty green color, but it is green. It's over halfway. That's pretty good. We'll look at some other theories coming up, how we feel about them, how I feel about them. And I'll give you my rankings. We'll see how Flat Earth can stack up compared to some other stuff.